Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lukhaup and today I would like to take you with me to visit two different types of habitats of the tiger shrimp, Caridina mariae. And the first stop on this expedition, tiger shrimp, was the habitat of the super tiger shrimp. I named it super tiger many years ago and because of the broad stripes it has on the abdomen or pleon, and that's the difference between super tiger and the regular normal tiger shrimp. With us on this trip we had a woman. She was a professional shrimp catcher. She catches tiger shrimp and sells them then to the market or to dealers. She was from Lixi town, that's not far away from this place, in Lingdong County in the Guangdong province in southern China. She was the one that brought us here to this place, and I was really astonished. I was surprised to see this place because it is so different from the places that I have visited during the last years. The typical Caridina places, usually there's creeks or rivers, but this was a swamp. In fact, it was an old farm or industrial zone that is not working anymore, so that's why the shrimp are still alive probably in this place. And here we see Werner Klotz. I had him with me on this trip. He was the one, together with Thomas von Rintelen, who described the species. And here we are catching them with small nets. We found, in fact, 3 different species in this place. And that's even more amazing than just finding them in the place. And this pool was the biggest pool of water that we could find on this side. It was covered with silt, in fact, on the bottom, and then Java moss or Singapore moss. Exactly, I don't know that because we didn't look for it. We have been too excited with the shrimp. The only fish species that we could find in this pool was a catfish, about 15 centimeters long. We found him under rocks or wood, and that means that he's probably night active, but he definitely is a predator. He will go after shrimp or the shrimp babies. The shrimp are day and night active, so during the day probably they will not be harmed from anyone, but during the night probably the catfish will hunt them. And if you look around in this place, there are very special parameters. If you have all these little pools, the temperature probably it will get very warm in summer and cooler in the nights. And that's why, in my view, tiger shrimp have a bigger tolerance when it comes to water parameters than other Caridina shrimp, for example, like Caridina logemani, the bee shrimp. So that's why the temperature in a tiger habitat or in a tiger tank can go higher than in a bee tank. In summer months in this area, the temperature can go up to 40 degrees Celsius. That's about 104 Fahrenheit. That's the air temperature. Then probably the water temperature will go up to 30 degrees Celsius. That's about 86 in Fahrenheit. Even if the bottom is, the soil is like dark, silty and muddy, and that's usually a little bit cooler, but even then probably the temperature reaches about 30 degrees Celsius. In the time we have been there it was like 26, 25. And of course the shrimp survive here because it's rich in oxygen, the water, and that's because this place is on a slope, so that's why we have a lot of little tiny waterfalls or drops that goes constantly in the water. And also it's free of any organic loads, and that's why I believe that the shrimp do so well here. The pH here was 7.1 and the conductivity was 40. And among all those beautiful super tiger shrimp we could find 2 other species. One that was not described back then, like the tiger shrimp as well, they have been described together, Caridina conguensis. They clearly differ from the tiger shrimp. They usually have these transverse white stripes on the body. They have like spots also. Sometimes they have a back stripe, not always. They can be reddish, they can be bluish, or even sometimes black. This species is morphologically very similar to one that is widespread in southern China, that's Caridina cantonensis, but genetically they are very far from each other. The third species that we have found in this place was one that is genetically identical to Caridina cantonensis. Morphologically it differed. The shrimp here in this place had a much longer rostrum than the normal Caridina cantonensis. And this could be because in this place it doesn't matter if the rostrum is long or short because there is no flowing water. In creeks or river, a longer rostrum would be of a disadvantage for the stability of the shrimp. The resistance to the water would be much higher, so the shrimp could not be so stable in the creek or in the river. But maybe that's even advantage in this place to have a longer rostrum. So with that, the shrimp could locate a light flow better and go to this place, because we know that for molting they need a lot of oxygen. So maybe it would even help them to survive in this place. I think it's a very interesting theory that we should look at. We have the Sulawesi shrimp that come from lakes and have all a long rostrum, or we have Caridina graciedirostris that comes from slow flowing rivers that also have a very long rostrum. And for the second part of this tiger expedition, I met my friend Silaine Dilwyn from Singapore. Probably some of you still remember him. He was a breeder from Singapore, very famous. And we went to the south, to the city, or close to the cities of Linkou and Konghua in the province Guangdong. We stopped for breakfast in these places, and then I walked a little bit the streets and I could discover some interesting pharmacies. They offered me healthy drinks, but I refused because the stuff that they had in the jars was not really mine, and even if it looked healthy or could give you a longer life, I refused. And just half an hour out of the city we could find this habitat. This was more like a typical Caridina habitat that I was looking for, even if it was a drought by that time and there was not that much water. We found some pools, and the temperature here was like 21 degrees Celsius, much cooler. The pH was 6.0 to 6.5. And we arrived late, so that's why the camera could not capture these shrimp in the best quality. It was getting darker and darker, but I hope you can see it anyway. And because of professional shrimp catching, the population of these tiger shrimp, the ones with the normal stripes, normal tiger shrimp, have been reduced a lot, so I could just find few of them. Beside the tiger shrimp, Caridina mariae, we could find 2 more species in this place. So the second shrimp that I found in this place was Caridina lancefrons. It's not in the trade, or very rarely in the trade. And the third one is the one that we know from the trade. Back then it was undescribed. It's called the blue bee shrimp. It is very rare in this place, meanwhile, also because of professional shrimp catching. It is a shrimp that hides a lot. I could lift a rock and it was gone immediately. They are very shy. And back then also the time was running away. It was really difficult to film. It was getting darker and the quality was really bad. When you go down the stream, you find a lot of Caridina lancefrons when the stream is getting bigger and bigger from a creek to a river. So what we have seen in this video is that different habitats result in different patterns, different colorations, even different morphology. Sometimes the shrimp can be yellowish, bluish, reddish. And I hope you liked this video, and if you liked it, you can subscribe. I see you at the next time, the next video. Keep on shrimping.